Hey there, thanks for tuning into DuckBricks, and welcome to another episode of Ninjago Retold, the show where I tell the entire story of LEGO Ninjago in chronological order from the beginning to the end. So in case you aren't aware, this is a chronological recap series where I show clips from the show and talk through the entire lore in chronological order, so there will be major spoilers abound. If you do want to experience the LEGO Ninjago TV show in its rawest form, I would highly recommend that you actually check out the episodes. In the US, at least, every single season is currently available on Netflix. In most other regions, they are also available on Netflix, so I would recommend checking that out if you have the chance. But if you want to see the quick version and the recap, be sure to tune in to the series of Ninjago Retold. So for today's episode, we will be taking a look at episode 3, Legacy of the Green Ninja, after having summarized the prologue in chapters 1 and 2. This is a really exciting chapter because this was actually supposed to be the original end of the Ninjago series all the way back in 2013 until massive fan demand resurrected the series for Ninjago Rebooted, which is going to be episode 4 of the series. And so without further ado, let's just jump up, kick back, whip around and spin, and roll the intro. Previously on Ninjago Retold, Devastation of the Devourer. In an attempt to be more like his father, young Lloyd Garmadon frees the dreaded Serpentine tribes from their tombs, which had been sealed since the Serpentine Wars. Led by the cunning Anacondride Pythor, the 5 tribes had one goal: resurrect the godlike Great Devourer, which had been possessed by the Overlord eons ago and destined to consume the entire realm. To combat the might of the serpents, our heroes unlocked their true potential, assumed new identities, and uncovered legends of a ninja to rise above the rest, the Green Ninja Savior, who was revealed to be Lloyd Garmadon. But when Pythor managed to free the Devourer and unleash its wrath on Ninjago City, the ninja were too late to prevent untold damage from being done, young orphan Harumi losing her home and her parents because the ninja were too slow. Only with the help of their majestic Ultra Dragon and Lord Garmadon himself were the ninja able to stop the serpent, Garmadon seizing the weapons of creation to finish off the wretched beast and send its venom cascading over the city. And as a new day dawns on the realm of Ninjago, the rising threat of darkness is greater than ever. This is Ninjago Retold.
You're a long way from finding a ninja in these parts, old man.
Lloyd is the Green Ninja.
I am the ultimate spinjitzu master!
Support me, friends, for one last time.
The new Serpentine War has just begun.
My master has arrived.
Guess it's true. The greatest love stories do always end in tragedy.
Maybe I'm departed.
Control time! Control everything!
I have no son.
I cannot fight you, but I can resist you.
Endings will always come. All we can do is fight to make them good ones.
Revenge!
Protect those who cannot protect themselves.
You were programmed by the game to lose, but you don't have to.
I want you to promise me that you will always stand up to those who are cruel.
We are the keepers of the amulet.
I am. I am the sea. We are one.
There will be peace in the dark.
Episode 3, Legacy of the Green Ninja. Chapter 1, Terror of the Megaweapon. As Ninjago City rebuilt and recovered from the terror of the Great Devourer, the threat of evil had slowly subsided, and the ninja found themselves without a home, without jobs, without their golden weapons, but with a single, focused purpose: train the young Lloyd to be the greatest ninja across the realm. Without the Destiny's Bounty or the monastery to train in, the first order of business was setting up a new headquarters for the team. Meeting with a real estate agent who allowed them to lease a fancy apartment for a temporary amount of time, the ninja were forced to pick up odd jobs around the city just to afford rent, all while Lloyd wasted more and more time not being trained by the team as a result. And as Wu and Nia continued to scour the city for new places to stay, the weeks passed on with no sign of dark forces afoot. And yet, in the shadows, Lord Garmadon still lurked, now in control of all 4 golden weapons of Spinjitzu, artifacts with the power of endless creation. Turning his eye to the Serpentine as a new army to command, Garmadon made his way to the hiding places of the warmongering race and won them over using a display of power, resurrecting the once destroyed wreckage of the Destiny's Bounty by using the weapons to recreate it into the Black Bounty, a dark mirror opposite of the original ship. To the dismay of the original Serpentine generals, most of their warriors abandoned them to serve in Garmadon's crew, leaving Scales and the other former Serpentine leaders without their legions. Sailing to the Golden Peaks, original birthplace and forge of the golden weapons, Garmadon arrived at a bubbling pool of glimmering lava, ready to fulfill his destiny and create the ultimate weapon. Casting all 4 golden weapons into a molten ball of energy, Garmadon watched as the tools were forged into one Megaweapon, and he prepared to use it to destroy the ninja and reshape the realm of Ninjago into his own image. Back in Ninjago City, Sensei Wu sensed a shift in the balance, but was unable to pinpoint the cause of this dark presence. As the ninja worked overtime to pay for rent and Lloyd was left alone, Scales made a play to kidnap the young boy and prove his worth to the rest of the Serpentine, sending the other 3 Serpentine generals to stage a bank heist to distract the ninja in the process. As the ninja abandoned their day jobs and descended into the sewers to skirmish with the Serpentine generals, Scales made his way to their apartment, where he cornered Lloyd, only to be beaten back by Wu and Nia, who called the authorities and sent the devious Hypnobride to prison. Thrilled that Lloyd was safe but now fired for abandoning their jobs, the ninja, Wu, and Nia were forced to move to a dingy small apartment in a grimy part of the city, cramped into a tiny room and unable to train Lloyd. And while the ninja wasted time with rent, jobs, and moving, Garmadon refused to sleep until he mastered the Megaweapon. Quickly realizing this fusion weapon did not have the power to destroy after pursuing the Ultra Dragon through a canyon, Garmadon was frustrated with his crew of Serpentine, who he blamed for his failures. Venturing into the inner rooms of the Bounty, the Dark Lord discovered the old logbook of the Terror of the Endless Sea, Captain Soto, pirate warrior from eons ago who had trapped Natakon the Jinn in the Teapot of Tyran until being killed himself in a quest for the Dark Island. Wishing for a more competent crew like the pirate gang Soto described in his book, Garmadon found the Megaweapon vibrating and glowing, drawing life force from him as arcs and beams of energy blasted forth from the golden staff. Falling to his knees and drained of all his energy, Garmadon could only watch as Captain Soto and his pirate gang were drawn forth from the departed realm, flesh and blood once again. Reassuming command of the Bounty, Soto tasked his crew with locking up the now weakened Garmadon, who realized that he could only use the Megaweapon once per day, and the staff had the power to create, not destroy. Back in Ninjago City, the ninja were unaware of Garmadon's machinations as they roamed the streets searching for a dojo to train the young green ninja. Coming across a ramshackle sign advertising Grand Sensei Dareth's Mojo Dojo, the ninja were introduced to the bumbling karate teacher Dareth, who claimed to be immensely skilled at martial arts, but was quickly defeated by Kai. Agreeing to let the ninja use his dojo to train Lloyd, Dareth quickly became a friend and ally of the ninja, despite his lack of combat skills. And as for Lloyd, he was finally in an environment where he could train and hone his skills, unlocking an energy-infused variation of Earth and even training in Spinjitzu. Soon enough, the time had come for Lloyd to test his newfound skills. Raiding the city and pillaging the shops, Soto and his pirate gang ravaged Ninjago City, astonished at how much the world had changed since their death. And as the ninja leapt onto the scene and battled the pirates, Lloyd managed to finally unlock his own green elemental power, conjuring a shield of pure energy as he fought back against the pirate crew, but quickly realizing that he was too short to use Spinjitzu effectively. Captured by the pirates and forced to walk the plank, all seemed lost for the ninja until Nia arrived in her Samurai X mech, quickly dispatching Soto's gang but inadvertently allowing Garmadon and his own crew to escape in the process. The next day, Garmadon wasted no time in using the Megaweapon once more, summoning dark doppelgangers of the 4 ninja to serve in his army and sow havoc in the ninja team. At the same time, the students of Lloyd's old boarding school, Darkly's, invited the ninja and Lloyd to their school under the pretense they had been reformed, but instead trapped the ninja and attempted to bring Lloyd back to the side of darkness. As he was trapped, Lloyd attempted to teach his former classmates one of the most important lessons he had learned over his time with the ninja. Just because you come from evil roots doesn't mean you must follow in those footsteps. And with the students of Darkly's having much to ponder, the ninja managed to escape and were about to free Lloyd when the Dark Ninja tracked them down, forcing the heroes and Darkly students to work together to battle the evil counterparts. Managing to unlock the power of lightning mixed with green energy, Lloyd helped the ninja vanquish their bizarro forms who were swiftly defeated and returned to dust, but not before they were able to report the headquarters of the ninja to Garmadon, who now could find them at Darrett's Mojo Dojo. Hiring a construction company to bulldoze the dojo, Garmadon sought to destroy the training center of his son to prevent him from becoming the Green Ninja. But the heroes refused to quit, entering a realm-wide race known as Ninja Ball Run to win the money needed to save Darrett's dojo from utter demolition. And on the start of race day, old and new foes, allies, and racers from across Ninjago gathered to win the money for themselves. The Skulking, Cole and Jay's parents, Captain Soto, the students of Darkly's, and even the mailman of Ninjago City. As the race began, Scales and the Serpentine joined the fray, having been freed from prison by the other Serpentine generals. But Garmadon was onto them. Realizing the ninja were racing to save the dojo, he and the Black Bounty entered the race as well, using the power of the Megaweapon to split the ground in front of the ultrasonic raider and create an impassable divide. But Garmadon failed to realize the raider had a secret flight mode, and as the ninja overtook the bounty and defeated Garmadon, Lloyd managed to reclaim the Destiny's bounty from his father, while the ninja earned the prize money to save Darrett's dojo, and the Dark Lord was defeated yet again. With their biggest victory over Garmadon yet, and Lloyd now closer than ever to achieving the potential of the Green Ninja, our heroes had been enjoying a time of success, victory, and relative peace. But this illusion of calm would soon be shattered, as Garmadon continued on his dark path and prepared for the ultimate showdown with his son. Chapter 2: Child's Play. As a new day dawned on Ninjago, the newly reclaimed Destiny's bounty soared over Jamatakai village, with Lloyd finding himself lamenting the loss of his youth. With the responsibilities of the Green Ninja and the non-stop training that came with the role, Lloyd no longer had time to play with others his age and simply enjoy his childhood, and felt forced into the role of adulthood far too quickly. And, right on cue, alarm bells sounded in the flying headquarters as Nia announced that Lord Garmadon had been spotted at the Ninjago Museum of History, with a brand new plot to use the Megaweapon against the ninja in action. As Kai, Jay, Zane, and Cole leapt onto the scene, they were too late, and Garmadon was already using the Megaweapon to turn back the clock and resurrect a deadly prehistoric predator, the Grundle. At the same time, the Serpentine generals, still operating independent to their natural legions, were robbing the museum for an ancient Serpentine sarcophagus from the time of the Serpentine of the Valley. And as Garmadon made his escape and the Grundle mysteriously vanished, the ninja pursued Scales and his crew to the sewers, only to find that the power of the Megaweapon had turned back time on not just the bones of the Grundle, but the ninja themselves. With all four ninja, including Zane, inexplicably in child form, they were ill-equipped to stop the Serpentine or fend for themselves, all while Garmadon and the Grundle roamed free. Calling on Lloyd to meet them and get word to Wu and Nia about their startling transformation, the ninja found themselves having to sneak undercover in elementary school field trips and arcades, all while seeking a way to restore their adult bodies. As Wu ventured to his old ally and former Oni warlord Mistake for magic tea that could remedy their situation, the ninja realized that the Grundle had their scent, and would track them down no matter where they ran. Just then, Lloyd had an idea. In his childhood, he had often visited Rufus McAllister's Doomsday comic book store, and if anyone knew how to defeat an ancient mythical creature, it was sci-fi and fantasy expert Rufus. As the child ninja arrived at the shop, Rufus explained that the Grundle had a key weakness, light, which is why it had waited in the shadows until nightfall, biding its time to strike when the sun went down. Wielding lightsaber-esque Illumiswords from popular film Starfare, which coincidentally starred Jay's biological father Cliff Gordon, the child ninja and Lloyd prepared to face off against the Grundle, who devastated the comic store in search of its prey. but the prop weapon stood no chance against the impenetrable hide of the Grundle, and just as the ninja were about to be destroyed, Master Wu arrived with Tomorrow's Tea, a special blend of magical tea that would turn the hands of time forwards and age up everything it touched. The Grundle, the de-aged ninja, and young Lloyd, faced with a terrible choice to save themselves from Garmadon but steal Lloyd's childhood from him. The ninja initially refused to use the tea, until Lloyd himself made the decision to accept the consequences for the greater good, hurling the tea at the Grundle as it burst in a cloud of glittering dust. And as the Grundle began to rapidly age, skin peeling off bone as it disintegrated before the ninja, the four heroes were restored to their normal states, only to reveal that Lloyd had now grown into a young adult, and the final battle between good and evil, the Green Ninja and the ultimate source of darkness, was now closer than ever. Now the same age as his ninja comrades, Lloyd found himself stronger, faster, and more powerful than ever before, and there was no turning back now. Training harder than ever aboard the Destiny's Bounty, Lloyd was regretful of the time he had wasted as a child playing games and reading comics, and was more committed than ever to being the Green Ninja and defeating his father once and for all. As the ninja trained, the Bounty soared to the lost city of Ouroboros, where Serpentine had been spotted rebuilding their armies and preparing for battle. Arriving on the scene and confronting Lord Garmadon, the ninja prepared to do battle with the Dark Lord, who was astonished to see Lloyd was fully grown. Saddened that his son was now closer than ever to achieving his destiny and facing the forces of evil, Garmadon was consumed by guilt and fear. Terrified of the very real possibility of having to fight his own son in combat, Garmadon drew on the Megaweapon and wished for the ninja to have never existed in the first place, opening a swirling vortex through space and time itself to years ago, the fateful night where Wu first recruited Kai in the village of Ignatia. Refusing to let Garmadon change the past, Kai, Jay, Zane, and Cole leapt through the portal, watching as the present already began to change all around them, the city of Ouroboros sinking back into the ground, and Lloyd beginning to vanish in thin air. Making their way to Kai and Nia's blacksmith shop in the past, the ninja could only watch as Garmadon purposefully directed the Skulkin monster truck to fail to kidnap Nia, removing Kai's motivation to be a ninja. Intercepting the past version of Master Wu, and desperately begging him to convince Kai to join the ninja at all costs, the present versions of the four heroes desperately work to set the past back on track, restoring the future for a brief moment by delivering Nia to the Skulkin themselves, but revealing their presence to Garmadon in the process, who now schemed with his past self to destroy the ninja before they had a chance to train and hone their own skills, and most importantly, train his son Lloyd. And at the climactic showdown between Kai and Garmadon at the Fire Temple, the past version of Kai was stunned to see Garmadon in the flesh, instead of a shadowy apparition. Quickly dispatching past Kai with his combat prowess, Garmadon and his past self prepared to solidify the changes to history, just as the four present ninja arrived on the scene with the golden weapons, using them to send waves of pure energy to the Megaweapon. Theorizing that destroying the Megaweapon itself may undo any damage the weapon did in the present, Zane convinced the rest of his team to blast the legendary golden power into the cosmos, and, in a flash of brilliant light, the four golden weapons and the Megaweapon hurled into the stars, foiling Garmadon's plans and restoring the future with no changes to history. And despite the Megaweapon being erased from history, remnants of its power still lingered in the world of Ninjago, against all odds. Captain Soto and his pirate crew still lived, given a second chance at life. The Darkly students still were reformed and remembered their encounter with the false ninja. Most importantly, Lloyd still remained fully grown, all due to the nature of chaos and the immense power of the weapons of creation still leaving their mark on history. And with the Megaweapon destroyed, Lloyd now a fully grown ninja, and Garmadon more devastated than ever, the final battle loomed ever closer, and the countdown to destruction had begun. Chapter 3: Siege of the Stone Army. In the city of Ouroboros, the Serpentine legions continued to hone their skills for battle, fighting in the Slither Pit skirmishes as Garmadon watched on, now without his Megaweapon, but with a new plot to vanquish the ninja. Gathering the Serpentine generals who now served him, Garmadon revealed that he had learned of the existence of the fabled Dark Island through Captain Soto's ancient logbook, and they were to set off in the Fangpire Rattlecopter immediately to scour the Endless Sea in search for the ultimate dark power of the Overlord. Skeptical of Garmadon's plan, Scales began to sow doubt and mistrust among the other generals, all while pretending to go along with the Dark Lord's schemes until the perfect time came to strike and seize control. As the helicopter spent hours circling the Endless Sea with no land in sight, Scales realized the time was now to make his play for power, and shoving Garmadon into the Endless Sea, Scales assumed control of all living Serpentine tribes, and was crowned King of the Snakes. Directing their copter back to Ouroboros to claim his victory, Scales and the generals ignored Garmadon's body being carried away by powerful ocean currents, destiny pulling the Dark Lord yet again towards darkness. Back in Ninjago City, the Museum of History once again called on the ninja for aid. Teams of archaeologists, led by Lloyd's mother Misako, had uncovered an ancient, massive statue of the Overlord's stone warrior in a near bottomless pit, but the venom of the Great Devourer had seeped through the museum's vents, bringing all souvenir statues made in the image of the stone warrior to life. As the five ninja quickly dispatched the souvenir statues, Lloyd encountered Misako after years of estrangement, and was justifiably overcome by anger at how she had abandoned him at a young age at Darkly's years ago. As the ninja arrived and met Misako, the elderly museum curator explained that she had abandoned Lloyd to dedicate her life to learning of the Green Ninja Prophecy, trying to put an end to the conflict between father and son. It was there that the ninja learned of the primordial evil of the Overlord, eternal force of darkness who fed on conflict, anger, and strife. Before Ninjago, before the first Spinjitzu Master, there was the Dark Force. Impossible to truly destroy, this Overlord had gone by many names and taken many forms. Golden Master, Bringer of Darkness, Crystal King. And yet, he always returned. For as long as pain and anger exist in the world, the Overlord would always be regaining power in the darkness. Eons ago, the Overlord threatened to tip the balance between good and evil, battling the first Spinjitzu Master, with neither side able to defeat the other. And so, the land of Ninjago was split in two, the island of Ninjago, where the Overlord's stone army still remained lifeless and trapped beneath the ground, and the island of Darkness, where the Overlord himself remained bound, as well as the Spinjitzu Master's Temple of Light and his golden mech. Together, these islands represented the yin-yang balance of Ninjago, Temple of Light on the Island of Darkness, and Oni Temple of Evil deep in Primeval's Eye on the Island of Ninjago. But the balance was about to shift in the Overlord's favor, for the venom of the Great Devourer, which the Overlord himself had infected years ago as a failsafe, began to rain down through the plumbing of the Museum of History, reawakening the giant stone warrior with a fraction of the Overlord's essence. Plunging the museum into chaos, this reawakened statue rampaged through the building and terrorized the ninja, who fought valiantly to stop the ancient vessel, but soon realized it was impervious to all their attacks. Meanwhile, as the ninja fled from the single stone warrior, Garmadon awoke with a start, washed ashore on a golden beach, surrounded by mysterious palm trees and endless jungle. As the Dark Lord came to his senses and realized he had made his way to the Dark Island, he was confronted by the Overlord himself, too weak to manifest a physical form, but powerful enough to communicate with Garmadon through a sphere of dark, crackling energy. Directing the Dark Lord to follow him through the jungle to achieve his destiny, the Overlord explained to Garmadon that without a physical form, he could not raise the Island of Darkness from the ocean. But Garmadon had the ability to deactivate the ancient binding mechanism that kept the island beneath the waves. Promising to the Dark Lord that this was the key to remaking Ninjago in his own image, the Overlord cackled as his plans came to fruition. For it was he who possessed the Great Devourer to strike out at Garmadon so many years ago, corrupting a son of the first Spinjitzu Master to grow into the perfect vessel for his eventual return. And so, Garmadon soon found himself faced with an ancient contraption with 4 handles, destined to reveal the Island of Darkness and upset the balance in favor of darkness. As he turned all 4 knobs, the ground itself began to rumble and rise from the ocean, water hissing and boiling as blackened clouds swirled overhead. Black spires pivoted upwards, and the sea itself churned and heaved. for the Dark Island had returned. Back in the Museum of History, the ninja had devised an elaborate plan to ensnare the giant warrior, sending the beast plummeting back down from the pit whence it came. But their troubles were far from over, and as the Dark Island rose from the ocean, the heroes were unaware that the Overlord's return was imminent, and during this brief calm, Misako reminisced with Wu about their teenage years, mentioning that she should have chosen him to marry instead of Garmadon. As the two old masters of Spinjitzu spoke about past regrets and discussed the possibility of a future together, they were interrupted by massive earthquakes rippling through the city. For the Serpentine had chosen the worst time to return and strike back against the people of Ninjago. Tunneling through the city and threatening to plunge Ninjago into the ground, Scales sent the Constricti to weaken the city's foundations, determined to use his newfound status as King of the Snakes to bury the city itself and prove his worth to the Serpentine legions. Encountering an ancient vault deep beneath Ninjago City, Scales and the Serpentine were stunned to find legions upon legions of frozen stone warriors assembled in colossal armies in a massive underground chamber. As the venom of the Great Devourer cascaded further downwards due to the earthquakes, the stone warriors sprung to life, sweeping over the Serpentine as an unstoppable force, and leaving Scales and the rest of the serpents once again trapped underground as the army marched ever upwards. Bursting forth from the ground itself and terrorizing the city, the Overlord's ancient stone army legions ripped the very pavement apart as the city found itself under its greatest threat yet, the siege of the Stone Warriors. Fighting desperately with their Raider and Ultra Dragon, the ninja were stunned to face such an overwhelming force, and the Stone Army marched ever onwards to the Dark Island, sowing destruction in their wake to be reunited with the Overlord and their source of power. Gathering all civilians to an evacuation point atop the Ninjago TV news building, Nia, Dareth, and Wu directed the bounty and rescue efforts as the rest of the ninja desperately struggled to beat back the armies of the Overlord. Just as the heroes were about to make their escape, Misako realized she had lost her scrolls back in the building, and circled back to seize the incredibly important literature, which detailed the keys to defeating the Overlord. And as the bounty was forced to take off, and Wu and Misako found themselves battling the forces of evil alone, they were resigned to their fate and leapt from the tallest window of the NGTV skyscraper, only to be saved last minute by the bounty, which soared away from the now devastated Ninjago City. Chapter 4: Hands of the Celestial Clock. On the Island of Darkness, source of the Overlord's power, Garmadon reached the top of a towering spire, which the Overlord had promised held the key to his power. As a rhythmic ticking filled the air, Garmadon was face to face with a massive mechanism, ancient, unstoppable clock of destiny that counted down to the final showdown between good and evil, and when the clock tolled, darkness would overcome light. The celestial clock had been constructed by forces unknown eons ago, and right in its center was the Helmet of Shadows, original helm of the Overlord, which could be used to command the Stone Army itself, for whoever donned this helmet was granted a psychic link to the armies of darkness to use for their own purposes. Seizing the helmet, Garmadon set the celestial clock into motion, and the final battle loomed ever closer. Back on the Destiny's Bounty, which had been crippled by the Stone Warrior attack, the ninja met with Misako while Zane sent the Falcon to scope out the newly emerged Island of Darkness. There, Misako explained that in order to unlock the true power of the Green Ninja, the four ninja must first unlock the elements within themselves and uncover their true natural elemental power, which had been passed down from their ancestors. The only way to do that was at the Temple of Light, bastion of the first Spinjitzu master on the Dark Island. And so, setting off from the docks of Ninjago, the Destiny's Bounty, now just a seafaring vessel after its engines had been wrecked, sailed into the horizon to locations unknown, the ninja bidding their family farewell while Zane looked on, no family to say farewell to. Back on the Dark Island, the Stone Army had arrived from Ninjago, and after intercepting Zane's Falcon, were immediately put to work mining mysterious purple sludge known as dark matter, a substance intrinsically linked to the Overlord himself, which could corrupt the heart of even the purest man. Led by General Kozu, translator and warlord of the Stone Army, the armies of darkness toiled on, with regular reports being made to Garmadon of their progress, for the Overlord's plan was to corrupt all of Ninjago with dark matter, tipping the balance and ending the conflict once and for all. On the endless sea, the Bounty sailed through the black of the night and the mysterious mists, fending off encroaching storms and carnivorous star teeth which beset the vessel and ripped the wooden planks to shreds. Crash landing on the shore of a mysterious lighthouse in the midst of the ocean, the ninja found themselves face to face with the Tinkerer, Dr. Julian, who was revealed to have been alive and imprisoned all these years. Taking in his son Zane and the rest of the heroes, Dr. Julian explained how Samakai had resurrected him years ago to construct vehicles for the Serpentine army, and how when he was done, they had abandoned him in the lighthouse, guarded by an ancient Leviathan who prevented him from leaving. At the lighthouse in his isolation, Dr. Julian had attempted to replicate Zane and build his own robotic companions, echoes of his former inventions. But none managed to reach the same unique level of sentience Zane himself had achieved after he was visited by the old Master of Ice. Now, with the help of the ninja, Dr. Julian was renewed with a newfound sense of purpose as they secretly constructed modifications to the Bounty without revealing themselves to the Leviathan. Days passed, and while the Overlord grew ever stronger, the ninja remained trapped in the lighthouse, until finally, in a fateful confrontation with the beast, Zane freed the chained Leviathan and the newly reconstructed Bounty took flight on a direct path to the Island of Darkness. Making landfall on the island after days of travel, the ninja hid in the jungle, watching as the Stone Army constructed vehicles of destruction, all while mining the mysterious dark matter. With their eyes set on finding the Temple of Light, the ninja and Nia set off on their own quest, Lloyd forced to hang back to prevent the final battle from triggering immaturely before they were ready. But the Overlord would not be fooled so easily, and sensing the ninja's presence on his island, he directed Garmadon to find and stop the ninja, all while the heroes built up their own weapons and tools, Dr. Julian working with Nia to construct powerful drill machines to tunnel through the island, and a new fighting mech for Kai. As the four ninja infiltrated Garmadon's camp, Zane managed to save his falcon while the others located the Temple of Light, but not before they were spotted by the Stone Army, and it was a race to the ancient structure. Blasting through the jungle on their newfound vehicles and evading the Stone Army's weapons of doom, the ninja finally reached the peak of one of the tallest mountains on the island, and entered the glorious Temple of Light. To their shock, inscribed on its ancient walls were carvings and prophecies of their heroic deeds over their time as ninja, and their symbols were painted onto the floor itself. As they ventured deeper into the sacred temple, the ninja were astonished to see a great bell hanging from the ceiling directly above the symbol of the Green Ninja, a foretold instrument of peace to unlock the power of the Spinjitzu Master. And so, just as the Stone Army reached the gates of the temple, Lloyd leapt up and struck the great bell, triggering a glorious transformation of light and raw energy. Beams of light reflected off of nearby crystals, bathing Lloyd in a warm glow as he began to levitate in midair. In an instant, the robes of the ninja were transformed, and they found themselves wielding powerful elemental swords that materialized in their hands. Raising their newly manifested blades in the air, the ninja knew what they had to do. And sending the full force of their innate elemental power at Lloyd, the Green Ninja was now fueled with a surge of powerful energy. In a burst of light, the Golden Dragon, original steed of the first Spinjitzu Master, exploded forth from the temple, summoned by the power of the Green Ninja. As the Stone Army was overwhelmed by the newfound powers and blades of the ninja, they retreated from the temple as the ninja celebrated, and yet, the Overlord was unfazed, assured in his victory, and telling Garmadon that everything was proceeding as destined, and his ultimate weapon, a mysterious mechanized base being built in the center of his camp, was almost complete, the celestial clock ticking ever onwards. But Garmadon was beginning to have regrets, and as the time grew closer for the final battle between father and son, the realization that he would have to try to destroy his own flesh and blood was dawning on the Dark Lord. Realizing Garmadon's morale was faltering, the Overlord moved to accelerate his plans, sending all stone warriors to toil harder than ever on his ultimate weapon. Back at the ninja camp, Misako revealed that the celestial clock was activated by the removal of the Helmet of Darkness, and if they could somehow reclaim the helm from Garmadon, they might be able to return it to the clock and stall the final countdown long enough for the ninja to gain an advantage. And in a desperate gambit, the ninja disguised themselves as stone warriors and snuck into the camp under the guise that they had captured Misako, who was brought to her husband Garmadon, and the two were reunited after so many years apart. Using Garmadon's lingering affection to her, Misako tricked her husband into removing his helmet, then swiftly stole it from its pedestal, making her escape with the ninja right from the clutches of Garmadon's massive new mech. As the Earth Driller sped to the celestial clock, the ninja were unaware that in their hands was the power to command the Stone Army, and were afraid to don the helmet in fear that it could corrupt them. Desperately searching for the helmet's pedestal, the ninja did all they could to stop the countdown with minutes to spare. But just as General Kozu and the Stone Army arrived to seal their fate, the ninja found the pedestal too late, and the arms on the colossal celestial clock hit the doomsday mark. The ninja were too slow. The ultimate battle was about to begin, and Garmadon and Lloyd would be forced to do battle to the death in a matter of days. Chapter 5: The Ultimate Battle. Beams of dark energy arced from the celestial clock as a flare of power reached the construction site of the Overlord's ultimate doomsday weapon, the Garmatron tank, with the ability to hurl dark matter at the island of Ninjago and corrupt it from afar. As Garmadon and Kozu returned to the Overlord's side to witness their new super weapon power up, they managed to capture Nia and send the ninja falling down a dark crevice off the side of the mountain, and the stakes were more dire than ever. At the Stone Army camp, the villains brought forth their first test subject for dark matter, Nia, who was bound, gagged, and plunged into a pool of the corruptive substance, emerging as an evil version of herself. With their first successful test of dark matter complete, the Overlord and Garmadon began their march to the shores of the Dark Island, piloting their new weapon of mass destruction. And on the very beach, our heroes had returned. Battered, defeated, but determined in their resolve to stop this ultimate evil once and for all. As Jay resolved to save Nia and Kai assured him that his sister would fight back, Dr. Julian installed last-minute upgrades to Zane, and Cole perfected his Blade of Earth. Together, the ninja team was ready to face the ultimate source of evil, and hot on the trail of the Garmatron weapon, they battled the dark version of Nia, managing to subdue her temporarily as they raced to the coast of the Dark Island. Just as Garmadon was about to fire the ultimate weapon, he was stopped by his brother, his wife, and his son, who all begged him to return to his family and abandon his dark plans. But Garmadon was solemn in his resolve, for he believed that the only way for his family to truly understand him was if they saw what he saw, felt what he felt, and had their entire world plunged into darkness in the image of Garmadon. For without balance, there would be no conflict, and the Overlord and the world of Ninjago would be at peace in the dark. As the Garmatron weapon activated, Wu, Lloyd, and Misako leapt into battle, too late to stop the first projectiles from being fired and transforming citizens of Ninjago into zombified purple-eyed beasts. As more and more dark matter projectiles were hurled into the city of Ninjago, the Overlord laughed with glee, having realized the balance had been shifted enough to darkness in his favor, and he was now free to generate a portal to once again cross over to Ninjago and plunge the world into despair. Realizing the Overlord was only using him as a tool for his own plans, Garmadon lashed out, refusing to help the embodiment of evil any further. But what was done, and it was too late, for the Overlord's spirit plunged into Garmadon's mortal body, possessing his mind and soul, and beginning Garmadon's transformation into a monstrous black dragon. As the rest of the ninja caught up to the fight, they could only watch as Lord Garmadon's hands morphed into claws, his limbs lengthened, and the demented laughter of the Overlord rang from his newly reptilian mouth. Despite Wu's warnings that the creature was no longer his father, Lloyd desperately engaged the Overlord in combat, using all the power of the Green Ninja to distract the Overlord from firing any more missiles. As the two forces of good and evil clashed, General Kozu was inadvertently fired to Ninjago City, landing directly in Darrett's Mojo Dojo as he was swarmed by the Brown Ninja's pupils, starting an unlikely rivalry between Stone Warrior Commander and the Brown Ninja. Back on the Dark Island, the desperate battle between the Overlord and Lloyd raged on, with Garmadon struggling to break free of his possession and stop the Overlord from harming his son, but quickly becoming overcome by the overwhelming might of evil. As Lloyd fought to his limit, the Overlord managed to gain the upper hand, blasting back the Green Ninja in an explosion of rippling energy that sent Lloyd crashing across the beach, breaking his leg and knocking the young hero unconscious. Now free to terrorize the realm of Ninjago unchallenged, the Overlord, Stone Army, and corrupted Nia made their way through a portal to the island of Ninjago, and the ninja were left to pick up the pieces on the Dark Island. the heroes had lost this first fight against the Overlord. But the final battle was far from over, and Lloyd was closer than ever to achieving his destiny. As dark clouds formed over Ninjago City, the Garmadon weapon materialized in the city streets, infecting all who came across it with the power of dark matter. As Dareth, Lau, and other civilians prayed for the ninja's return, the heroes found themselves stranded on the Dark Island, recovering from the fight and bandaging Lloyd's injured leg. Desperately searching for any means to return to Ninjago, the ninja made their way back to the Temple of Light, where they inserted their elemental blades into slots carved into the temple walls, unlocking the Golden Mech, ancient fighting machine of the Spinjitzu Master. With Lloyd now suited up in his grandfather's golden mech armor, and the rest of the ninja flying back to the city on their Ultra Dragon, the final battle was upon them. With Garmadon transformed into a towering spire of evil while the ninja were away, the Overlord's transformation had progressed, and the Dark Spirit now sprouted monstrous wings and had no more need for the Helmet of Shadows, which was discarded and picked up by Dareth. As the Golden Mech charged in the battle and the ninja followed suit, Lloyd seemed to have a fighting chance against the Stone Army, until the corrupted Nia blasted the ancient mech apart. Just as all 5 ninja were about to be overwhelmed by the Stone Army, the evil warriors froze into place, and Dareth, the most unlikely hero of all, donned the discarded Helmet of Shadows and commanded General Kozu and the warriors of the Stone Army to turn their attention to the Overlord himself. But even with the might of the Overlord's own army standing with them, the power of darkness had grown too great, and one by one, each ninja was hit by dark matter, corrupted by its essence, and turned into servants of evil. Only Lloyd managed to make it to the top, still limping on his broken leg. Weaponless and without his friends to support him, Lloyd prepared to face the ultimate source of darkness, the Overlord, who now opposed him in the form of a mighty dragon. It was then that Lloyd focused his energies, finding the inner steel within himself to keep pushing onwards. As the Overlord dragon blasted him with waves of dark energy, Lloyd stood firm, enclosed in his shield of energy. As he dispelled the flames and hovered into the air, Lloyd finally unlocked his true potential, glowing golden as he radiated with the power of the first Spinjitzu Master. Summoning the mighty Golden Dragon once more, Lloyd embraced the persona of the Golden Ninja like his grandfather before him, charging at the Overlord Dragon and declaring himself the ultimate Spinjitzu Master. As Wu, Garmadon, Dareth, and the 4 corrupted ninja watched on, Lloyd's dragon weaved and dodged the Overlord's attacks, hurtling off the side of the evil building as the Overlord was forced on the defensive. Summoning his final attack in the form of a sphere of darkness, the Overlord seemed like he was about to gain the upper hand. But in an explosion of light and warmth, Lloyd surged forth from the shadows, overwhelming the evil of the Overlord and washing over all of Ninjago in a wave of healing light. And with all traces of dark matter removed and the Overlord defeated for now, a new sunrise dawned on Ninjago City. In the rubble of the Overlord's tower, a mysterious and bewildered figure emerged. Garmadon, who was now free of the Overlord's influence and restored as a normal man. Rushing to embrace his son, Garmadon was overjoyed that he was finally freed of evil, and Jay and Kai reunited with Nia, who was also free of the shadow of darkness. All around them, dazed civilians awoke and came back to life, and as the heroes looked upon the city, Cole and Zane reminisced of their adventures, Kai proclaiming that as long as there's something worth fighting for, there's always a need for a ninja. And Kai was correct, for the Overlord could never truly be vanquished, for whenever there is conflict or strife, the Overlord would grow in power and continue to spread across the realm. The Overlord may have been defeated for now, but this would not be the only time our ninja would have to face the power of the ultimate source of evil. But this ends this chapter of Ninjago. Stay tuned in 2 weeks for Episode 4, Rebooted. Alright, and with that we have summarized the entire Chapter 3 legacy of the Green Ninja story, and tune in next time for Chapter 4 Rebooted, where Ninjago finds itself in a brand new technological age following the defeat of the Overlord. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know down in the comments below what you think. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And do you have any questions about the timeline covered throughout this episode of the show? Thank you all so much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be here next time. Stay tuned to DuckBricks for even more LEGO news, reviews, and discussion coming your way very soon. Bye-bye for now.